Would you like to reach our film and TV review podcast audience? Do you have a product or service of interest to film and TV home consumers or followers of the entertainment industry? Have a film or show production to publicize? For affordable price plans for all budgets, get in touch and find out about our introductory advertising options. Reach our audience of film and TV viewers and visit our site contact page at filmandtvreview.com, or you can email us at business@filmandtvreview.com. Reach out today. Welcome to filmandtvreview.com. Catch the latest film, TV and streamed show reviews every week. The views and opinions expressed by the authors and those providing comments are theirs alone. They do not reflect the views, opinions or position of filmandtvreview.com or their respective parent companies or affiliates. Filmandtvreview.com makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, correctness, suitability, or validity of any information in this program and is for entertainment purposes only. Episodes may contain adult humor and language. For full terms and conditions, see filmandtvreview.com.
Hello there, and welcome to this month's edition of Film and TV Review. I'm joined by my regular hosts. I've got James and Alfonso to begin with here, and it's quite a packed month already for April, March time. So thought we would actually start. We've got kind of running order of The Studio, Novocaine, Working Man, Snow White, Mickey 17 was big release, Adolescence, big series everyone's talking about from Netflix, and lots of other titles which will come in due time. So let's start with a kind of recent release, I think, from Apple actually, is The Studio, and this is Seth Rogen in a kind of kind of a drama comedy of studio life, or modern studio life. James and Alfonso, you both saw this. What did we think of The Studio?
Yeah, so this is kind of a satirical look at a movie studio starring Seth Rogen as a fictional head of a studio who we're introduced to him early on, and he says that he's got to take a meeting to with Jenga because they're thinking of doing a Jenga movie, and the studio is obsessed with IP, and really what he wants to do is make the next Rosemary's Baby. He is then though offered the chance to become he's not a studio head at this point. He's offered to commission by Bryan Cranston, who's almost unrecognizable. There was a moment when I was like, I think that's Bryan Cranston, but is it? And in the conversation, it becomes clear that he's going to sacrifice some of his ideals to get this promotion that he's always wanted since he had a tour of the set as a child. And the big thing that they're trying to do is they've got the rights to Kool-Aid, the drink, and they are trying to make the Kool-Aid movie. And in episode 1, he is also encounters, played by himself, Martin Scorsese, and Martin Scorsese is looking to make a movie about the events of the Jonestown massacre in the 70s. And I don't want to ruin the whole plot, but it kind of really has the vibe, sort of the uncomfortable vibe, I suppose, of something like Curb Your Enthusiasm or Ricky Gervais's Extras series, particularly because there are many people playing themselves. Seth Rogen obviously is, and Bryan Cranston are playing fictionalized characters. But early on, he mentions not getting an invite to Charlize Theron's party that she's throwing. Obviously, Seth Rogen starred with Charlize Theron in Long Shot, a romantic comedy film from a couple of years ago, which I think was really good. And And there are various people making cameos as themselves in episode one. It's really got that classic kind of sitcom structure of particularly sort of old British sitcoms where the kind of hubris of the central character is also their downfall. So as episode one plays out, some of the things that Seth Rogen's character does by not sticking to maybe his ideals or his principles or selling out kind of come back to bite him in ever more catastrophic ways. And it's one of those things where the kind of final act it needs to work, it needs to sort of pay everything off, and I think it does as everything collapses around him and the sort of magnitude of those decisions come through and kind of yeah, so I thought it was really funny, and I thought this is something I've kind of seen versions of before. We had the Armando Iannucci series recently, which was kind of a satire on superhero franchises. It felt a little bit like that, but I felt that maybe I kind of like that show, but I think it run out of steam quite early on. It's been cancelled. I think it might have been called The Franchise or something like that. I
Oh yeah.
thought this was a little bit better and had more potential, although episode one is so good, I'm not sure where they if maybe that's the best they can do. But I mean, you've said Ron Howard's in later episodes and things, Jason. So I'm
Yeah.
here to watch the first episode on Prime for free, but I think I'll get Apple TV to watch the rest of the series. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
thought it was a really enjoyable sitcom
Yes, I
so
hope it does
far.
keep that momentum because it's such a huge, probably central premise of him, him wanting to do worthy productions, but it's the small journey of compromise until you get to this point where you have they're pushing out, product more than film. So, especially in the light where we have a Minecraft movie also coming out this week, it kind of remind me something very close to home almost in our film landscape. But yeah, it is almost that kind of Kirby Your enthusiasm, looking through your fingers, kind of like, oh my God, is he going to? How is he? Is he really going to really, compromise his ideals? Alfonso, you saw this. Was this kind of like a worthy or fresh take, or kind of like something you've seen before almost?
Yeah, well, I also thought that about the other series that you all mentioned. I liked it. It was a lot of snappy dialogue, long takes in the same month as the other series with long takes, adolescents, but very different tone. I don't know. I like the interaction with real people playing themselves, especially Nick Stoller, the way that he is used as a Hollywood director, let's say, in this episode. And yeah, I want to watch them all. And I think, I mean, the reviews have been very good, so I guess it keeps up the level. So yeah, I
Yeah,
would like to watch them all. Yeah.
yeah, yes. Actually, yeah, yeah. It does make me want to watch the next episodes actually. So, yeah, thumbs up around for that one. Actually, quite surprisingly good. Right, next, we have kind of a high concept film. I was hoping good things for this. It's starring Jack Quaid, who may have seen from The Boys if you watch that series, and that's a Novocaine, which from the trailer almost seems to tell us exactly everything we need to know. Seems someone say juiced up on Novocaine and almost a revenge tale. But what you saw this, James? What? Explain Novocaine to us if I got my
Yeah.
sentence right. That is.
So Novocaine, obviously Jack Quaid, who we all know from The Boys, brilliant TV series. Also in what is currently my favorite film of the year, Companion, which I just thought was fantastic. He delivers a really good performance in that. And in this, he's sort of playing opposite Amber Midthunder as well, who was brilliant in Prey, the Predator film that was released on Disney Plus during COVID. Um, and I've got to say, when I saw the trailer, I think the first time I saw the trailer, I thought, oh, this looks cool. It sort of looks like maybe it's in the same sort of territory as The Boys, quite a gory superhero kind of thing. And the more I saw the trailer, I saw it quite a lot of times. I started thinking, I'm not sure if this is going to be that good because I don't know. There's just some vibe about it that is giving off to me. And there were some little things in the trailer. There's a reference to Wolverine and things. I thought, oh, this is going to be really sort of very postmodern and just sort of referencing other franchises. I think something like Deadpool does this better, you know. Um, I've got to say, when I watched it, my expectations were quite low, but I was pleasantly surprised, and I thought it was a lot better than I was expecting. And particularly, I felt the early scenes aren't in the trailer were the reason behind that. So if you watch the trailer, you just see he's a guy who can't feel pain, and that's his kind of superhero thing, and he gets involved in a kidnap, trying to get Amber Midthunder, his love interest, back. Um, Early on the film, you find out some stuff about his life, and he's been born with a condition where he can't feel pain. And there's some really nice scenes between him and Amber Midthunder. When you see the trailer, they're just about to get down to it, and it's kind of like there's some real good, I felt like, character stuff that they put at the start. It oddly reminded me of the Jumanji reboot that they did a few years ago, which I had no expectation of, and I think the reason that works is because it is a great fun. It does what you want from that film. It's the big CG effects thing and The Rock and Kevin Hart and all that stuff. But it takes 20 minutes, just 20 minutes at the start, to set up the characters and make you care enough about them that then it can just go into like an hour and a bit of action. And that's kind of what this does. There's some enough character stuff that sort of sets it up. There is maybe an issue, and I know I'm not alone in this, 'cause I've had a lot of people say this, that the idea is that he can't feel pain. And there's a bit in the trailer where a guy is sort of torturing him, but he's just going, oh, that doesn't really, he's pretending it hurts just to play for time in the film. But there is an element of like, he's not meant to be immortal. They even say that in the trailer. You can still die. But he he does kind of undergo so many things that you go, yeah, I think he'd be dead by now. Like, by the end of the film, they kind of push that maybe the credibility of that. And maybe they should have just tried to keep it more on the pain side rather than. I think by the end of it, they kind of lose it. So it's look, there is an element as well of me go, if I'm watching this, thinking this isn't going to be as good as The Boys or Companion. Those are very, very high bars. Jack Quaid's very good in this. And actually, there's a scene when there's a robbery where he looks genuinely scared. And I thought, I've never seen him play that before. I haven't seen him in loads of stuff. Obviously, he's in Oppenheimer and things. But he does this performance of looking absolutely terrified. That I thought, oh, he's a really good actor, I think, and he probably is one to watch going forward. So yeah, this isn't going to be like one of my films of the year, but it's a fun popcorn movie. I would say as well, it's got a 15 certificate in the UK. And you just think, what do you have to do to get an 18 certificate anymore? Because it's like, it's really gory. It's really very, very violent. But I suppose the mitigating factor is that the joke that he can't feel the pain, right? So they get away with a lot in this film that you usually wouldn't in one of these films. But yeah, that's an overkill.
Right, thanks. Okay, yeah. I don't think it kind of came and went, that title. I was just hoping it would just make a bit more, a bit of a fun Friday night film, but it kind of disappeared quite quickly. But okay, maybe we want to catch on streaming, I think. Right, next, an eagerly awaited title. It's from the Strat, Jason Strat, in another title, insert job description film here. It's A Working Man. So I'm guessing this is not related to The Beekeeper from last year, kind of a similar kind of like working title. So The Working Man, what can we expect from this? It's not an indie drama or anything like that. It's give it to me straight, because it looks like a great Friday night movie.
Yeah, so obviously the Staith back in action as a construction worker in this film. So this is the first film in the Village People shared universe, presumably. So we look forward to the sequels. David Ayer directing this, who did The Beekeeper as well, which I really enjoyed. I know Richard wasn't a fan, but I thought that was definitely for me, that was like a 3-star movie. An action. It does what you want from an action movie. And the idea in that film that he's sort of avenging somebody who's had all their data stolen. So I think everybody watched that film, come home and changed all their passwords and got very paranoid. In this, I think the tagline for A Working Man is something like "Human traffickers beware" or something. You go, I don't know how many of those are going to my cinema. That's a little bit concerning. But basically, someone that he works for has had their daughter stolen, and he sets out to get the daughter back and just punch a load of people on route to do that. Basically, I mean, there isn't a lot more to say about this film. I didn't feel it was as good as The Beekeeper. I'm not really sure why. I think there was some really good actiony set pieces in there. I know it's not John Wick, these films, but Statham does do this thing where he has these really good choreographed fights. They're not quite up there maybe with John Wick, which is very choreographed, but they are entertaining. There were some good set pieces. There were some good villains in that movie for him to sort of face off with, and the kind of corruption stuff that's going on in the background with that. It's sort of become a better movie, The Beekeeper, than I was expecting, because I thought it would just be a film with a bee pun every 5 minutes or honey songs, but this one, yeah, it's not brilliant. The action sequences are fine. It is a very moral film as well. I mean, the idea that you shouldn't be trafficking people it shouldn't be a sort of radical position. But apart from that, I just sort of watched it and thought this film feels more moral than other sort of films that are about. I don't know. There's sort of a thing maybe with action films where they've got to a point now where there's a lot of punching, but you don't really know why. Like one of the criticisms of the early MCU, which obviously loved the early MCU, but that the villains weren't very good. And then what is actually being fought here, but it does feel like this guy is sort of taking a stand, and I sort of like that. It does do that thing though with Jason Statham. I wish he would just do his British accent, because he starts talking. I was like, hey, he's doing his British accent, and then I thought, no, I think he's trying to do an American accent. And then I can't tell what this accent's meant to be. But that's just part and parcel of it. Sylvester Stallone on producing duties as well. Obviously, his co-star from the very good Expendables 1 and 2, the Expendables 3, and the what the Expendables 4, which it was one of the worst green screen travesties I've ever seen on film. But so it's not as bad as that. I didn't think it was as good as The Beekeeper, but a fun watch.
Yeah,
It
is one of those films where it says it, it's like it does what it says on the tin. So you kind of like sometimes you do fits that kind of like little slot where like, okay, I'm not really want surprises, but you can always rely on him as a very kind of good, at least the action pieces it lives and dies on. But okay, no, I mean, yeah, fine, it's great. Right, so that was The Working Man. Next, it was a long digesting, eagerly waited, well, maybe not eagerly waited, but it was Disney's next in a series of remakes of their animated classics, and this was the big one. This was Snow White. So finally, Alfonso and James, you
Yeah.
saw this. Now, was it worth the wait?
Oh yeah, I've
Snow
been
White.
waiting for this movie for the longest time. I just couldn't wait any longer. So where's my Snow White live action movie? And finally it's here. So glad.
What is
So
the premise?
thankful.
Just in case those of our younger viewers, or well, listeners, let's say, who've never seen Snow
Well,
White,
Snow
what is
White, according to this movie, it's a girl who is the daughter of the king and queen of a kingdom, who was born in a day where it was snowing. There, ergo, they named her after the weather, Snow White. And she, from the beginning, she became very, very, very loved by everyone. Then there are things happen like mother dies, there's a new stepmom who becomes queen, and she's not the biggest fan of her daughter, stepdaughter, and less so when a mirror that she has tells her that she's not any longer the most beautiful female around. And the queen, well, says, well, we have to put a solution to this, basically. She's very resourceful. So, yeah, I will leave it at that because more things happen, but it's kind of like that's the main gist of the conflict between a middle-aged woman who cannot stand the beauty of a teenager and tries to kill her.
And that queen is played by, I guess, the very average-looking Gal Gadot. So I'm guessing she has competition from uh, this younger Snow White. I mean, it's like, a very beautiful woman anyway. It's a tall order if you've got a very other young. I guess it's about youth, I suppose. But is it?
It's about mirrors. When the
It's
mirror
about
tells
mirrors.
you,
I think we'll get onto this a bit. Maybe we should have done this after adolescence, but it's about an old woman being radicalized by a mirror, which is probably a metaphor for social media. So she's radicalized that,
yeah.
oh, you're the fairest in the land, you're the fairest in the land. Oh, now there's a woman who's more fairer than you, rather than saying, well, beauty is subjective. You know, everybody has their own value in the world. This mirror is the bad guy as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, he's the culprit of everything.
So, in the original title, looking in the history archives, it was actually originally was called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now,
Wow,
how does
it's
that?
based on a Grimm's fairy tale. So the original Grimm's fairy tale, I believe, is called Snow White. So this is the Disney version come out in 1937 and was called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And that was released in 1937 during the rise of fascism. Obviously, this new version is just called Snow White and was very different circumstances released during the rise of fascism, but last Tuesday rather than 75 years ago.
So, how are they portrayed in this film then? How do they? Are there actually, for a better word,
Well, yeah.
dwarfs?
Shall I leave this to Alfonso?
Oh well, you want me to? Okay, I'll try to
I can
tread with care. Well, they look like the original Seven Dwarfs from the animated film. They are not apparently, according to the film, any longer human. They are done by computer effects. They didn't cast any little person to do these roles. And then they decided, with all the controversy of even why doing this story again, as Peter Dinklage said, they decided to make them into very long living magical creatures of the forest whose hands and light up when they are with diamonds in the mines or something. Their magical powers are not very well explained or concrete, but you know that they are very old, sort of magical. At least they can light up their hands. And well, it's like well, if you think about it, just trying to solve one problem, they got into just not making them human at all. So I don't know. Just anyway.
Okay. Well,
it's a weird decision, isn't it? Because it's sort of like there's always an argument for this of why Disney are doing this, and obviously, as per the studio, it's money and it's recognizable IP. But I think, I mean, I know Richard's going to come in probably at some point and just flatten this conversation, but I think that Rachel Zegler's really, really good in it. I think she's fantastic. I think the new song I really like in it.
She does
Gal
the role.
Gadot, I know, like I've seen some people criticizing it, but I think for me it's like criticizing going to a pantomime and criticizing Christopher Biggins's Widow Twankey. Like what? Like it's just this is like such a sort of odd story that it's one of those things. But it's with the representation of the seven characters who apparently in they're not referred to as doors in this, and as Alfonso said, there's sort of some kind of other explanation. They also have an actor, George Appleby, cast who does have dwarfism, and there's a moment in that where you sort of go, well, actually, they have cast somebody with dwarfism. So does that mean that and I mean that's quite a good point that they have done that, but it is also like, well, what are those other characters then? They don't really make sense. Like, I think it would have been better if they just got seven actors that could have done a really good performance and made those into more interesting characters. But at the heart of it, these Disney things that they work as animations, and the Jungle Book, which I was not prepared for, the Jon Favreau one, I thought was fantastic. I really didn't, and that was because it all centers around Mowgli, and they found a really good actor to play Mowgli. Here, you've got Rachel Zegler doing a really good performance, but then you've got Gal Gadot doing a very sort of 2D cartoon performance. You have the seven miners, as they're referred to in apparently behind the scenes sort of documents and working things, that you don't really understand what they are. In fact, the moment they come on screen, that's the moment where I was like, oh, I don't think this works at all. Up until that point, I was like, this is okay, it is what it is. But yeah, it is a bit of a tonal mess, I think. But I didn't find it maybe as unwatchable as I think Richard will.
No, to me it was just okay, and I guess some of the updating in relation to feminism was also okay.
Yeah,
like
there's an overthrow the monarchy vibe going on, which I quite enjoyed.
Also interesting. Yeah, this Snow White has it all, the leader qualities.
Would you like to reach our film and TV review podcast audience? Do you have a product or service of interest to film and TV home consumers or followers of the entertainment industry? Have a film or show production to publicize? For affordable price plans for all budgets, get in touch and find out about our introductory advertising options. Reach our audience of film and TV viewers and visit our site contact page at filmandtvreview.com, or you can email us at business@filmandtvreview.com. Reach out today.